We are live, OTC 2025. We have a very special guest on the show today. Welcome, Mr. Anjani Kumar from CMG, VP of CoFlow. Just for a quick introduction, Anjani, could you give us some background of who is CMG and what do you guys do?
Thank you. It's been it's a pleasure to be here. Really looking forward to this discussion. For everybody's background info, Computer Modeling Group is one of the leading software developer and supplier of reservoir and production technology around the world. We have over 600 customers using our technology for various recovery processes, whether it's enhanced oil recovery, whether it's tertiary recovery, or even production modeling. So we are a specialist in those areas. Believe it or not, CMG was founded in 1978. A year after I was born, actually. So we have been there for a long time. It started with as a non-profit organization, mainly doing research for developing technology for heavy oil reservoirs in Canada. It was a very, very challenging project, and CMG took the initiative to develop technology that was required. So a very advanced technology, as you know, the tar sands of Canada. A very, very complicated process. So CMG excelled in creating that technology, and that led to the foundation of where we are. Over the years, if you look into the early 1980s, 2000s, where secondary recovery processes became really prevalent in the industry. A lot of companies were looking into increasing recovery or improving recovery from their depleting assets, so where they had exhausted the primary and the water flood, or even like a secondary recovery processes. CMG came into the picture with technology that was not available in any other product at that time. So that's where the innovation and the research started. And after that, CMG became the de facto standard for reservoir simulation in terms of accuracy, physics, and advanced modeling of oil and gas processes.
The gold standard in simulation.
The gold standard in reservoir simulation, yes.
And how does CMG really stand out as the gold standard in simulation?
Well, I mean, is the legacy that we carry, right? It's is the technology, is the high science that went into after years of research in this area, and other technology companies started to catch up, but still CMG maintained its edge by continuous innovation and development with the technology that was really required in the real field application. And we heard our customers. There was a constant feedback loop between our customers as well as our development staff. We were very, very prompt in and making sure that we reinvest into our product. We hired the best of the minds from the industry and continued to innovate and kept us ahead of other technologies that are out there. And that's why we have been used as to benchmark against other competitive tools. And a lot of people call CMG as the gold standard in simulation space.
So the smartest minds, the smartest simulations, but really also that customer service as well. People come for the science and they stay for the people. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, our people are best in class, and we do hire for the talent, but we do hire the right talent. It's not only about knowing the technical know-how, but we hire the smart people. But at the same time, is the right set of people in terms of showing the curiosity, challenging the status quo in terms of not only in terms of their work, but also in terms of challenging the technology. So people are open to input from the industry, and then they put their minds at work and produce the best technology that is possible.
And Anjani, you've been at CMG for 20 years, not quite the 47 years of your colleague Long, who just retired recently, but I want to talk about specifically your efforts leading the CoFlow product line. And we're in an environment right now where operators are forced with having to do more with less, and there's a real pressure to for capex and making sure that your operations are running as smooth as possible. So how does integrated production system modeling work, and how does CoFlow help solve your customers' problems?
Oh, that's a very good question, and it could be a very long answer, but
we'll break it down piece by piece.
we'll break it down into piece by piece. As you said, is in this current economic environment, everybody is, especially operators, are under a huge pressure to do more with less.
Yeah.
And less is what I mean is not only in terms of the capital or capex or opex,
Yeah.
less in terms of resources, people as well. So there is a continuous pressure to deliver more. And fortunately, technology like CoFlow is coming in really useful and handy in terms of facilitating and accelerating those efforts. I mean, ultimately, the goal is to maximize the rate of return on any investment. And CoFlow is providing that platform where decisions can be made faster. And not only faster, but the right decisions when it comes to developing an asset, whether it's a green field asset or whether it's a brown field asset, is doing more. I mean, if you talk to executives or leaders in different companies, one of the biggest challenge they have is having a reliable forecast. When is my water coming into the wells, or when will I start producing water or a high water cut? So I need to be ready to deploy capital to create the facilities that can handle those kind of production. When will my decline happen so that I can plan for infill drilling? Those kind of uncertainties are commonly being seen in operators and leaders and companies or the operators are looking into which tool or which system, whether it's a software or whether it's just a workflow, can provide reliable and predictable a source of information. And CoFlow is that glue that is facilitating multiple disciplines, not only in terms of the software technology, but also in terms of data sharing, which and we call it the single source of truth, because different departments, different disciplines in these companies use specialized tools which are really, really good in its own domain. And what happens is they are working in a siloed environment, and it's not to blame them. That's how the organizational structure is set up to operate like that. But what we are trying to do is break those silos where data flows from one step to the next. People are using a single platform in a cohesive, collective way, where each of those disciplines are collaborating and making a joint decision on any problem that they're trying to solve. So that's how CoFlow comes into the picture, is having a single platform where everybody can work collectively, make the right decisions, and make it a joint decision to reduce uncertainty and be more predictable.
And as well, a lot of these situations that your customers are operating in are incredibly high stakes. So there's a lot on the table for what's it cost. So why should an operator really choose to invest in that option for CoFlow and not work in a siloed environment and choose CoFlow?
Yeah, I mean, when something goes wrong, millions and millions of dollars are at stake, right? So I use this as an example. Is suppose like an offshore asset, and you talked about offshore asset. CoFlow is applicable in every asset wherever there's an opportunity to optimize and improve recovery and reduce capex and opex, all of that. But when the cost to change is high, which especially in an offshore environment, then the decision and the accuracy of those decisions becomes even more important. And I'll give you an example. Is in the Gulf of Mexico, if you look at Shell's asset, one of the Shell's asset, and it is designed for actually peak production of, say, 100,000 barrels of oil per day. And then if I say is based on our previous proof of concepts projects, we have seen anywhere between 15 to 20% of incremental recovery by looking at this asset holistically and optimizing the entire system from subsurface to all the way from the risers into the surface facilities and to the point of delivery. But even if only 5% of that is true, that is, and at $70 per barrel, that's $127 million in additional revenue. And that is significant to ignore. And that's why I say is even small incremental benefits would add up and result in significant cost saving or even reduction in capex or operational cost as well. So the stakes are high. And for that, we need a tool that will facilitate those decision makings for the benefit of the company.
Okay, we've talked a lot about collaboration and what's at stake, but can we talk a little bit more about some real success stories that CMG has had with CoFlow and how much you've really made a difference with your software?
So if you know a little bit about CoFlow, CoFlow was jointly developed in collaboration with Shell and Petrobras. So there have been a lot of assets, close to 50, including Shell, Petrobras, and a lot of other customers around the world where CoFlow has been deployed internationally, whether it's offshore CCS as well as onshore studies. And when you talk about examples, I mean, two examples that really stand out in terms of the value prop and the benefit of this integrated workflow. I mean, one example I will cite is one of the Middle Eastern reservoirs. It's a very, very big reservoir where you have 16 different reservoirs feeding into one central network. And each of those 16 reservoirs are compositionally very, very challenging. Each produces a different type of fluid. And CoFlow's architecture allows for handling complex fluid all blending into the network so that you have a total fluid consistency coming into the system. And in this particular integrated production and subsurface modeling, what was required is to be able to predict when the sour gas will come from a couple of the reservoirs had H2S. So H2S production was imminent. But one of the challenges that the company faced is how do you plan for it? Because you have to plan for handling the sour gas into the facilities, separating the H2S, and then re-injecting back into the reservoir for pressure maintenance and EOR. So it's a very, very complex closed loop cycle. And production engineers and reservoir engineers work together in a IPSM model in CoFlow, and we were able to predict reliably when the H2S will come and size because it varies with time too. Right, and as you start injecting the sour gas into the reservoir, the pressure starts to build up and productivity increases as well. And the wellbore completion for the injection had to be designed keeping in mind sour gas injection into the reservoir. And the cost of those completions could run in millions of dollars. And through this study, we were able to save $5 to $8 million per well because of maintenance issues. So the wellbore was designed to handle high concentration of H2S, and H2S is corrosive. So if you are designing the well properly, then you are doing preventive maintenance in the future and well failures and other things. So it was estimated to have a savings of $5 to $8 million per well. That's a significant, and there's a lot of wells in this particular reservoir. So that's one of and there's a SP paper that we published on this particular case study on an onshore application. The second one that comes to mind is an offshore asset, and as you know, the stakes are high when you are designing FPSOs, which are the floating platforms for storage and offloading. And those vessels cost hundreds of million dollars per year. And so this study was offshore of Brazil, and this company was looking into into developing a new reservoir with sizing of the FPSO for throughout the life cycle of an asset.
Yeah.
And what we did is we built this integrated subsurface and production model,
Yeah.
and we ran the entire life cycle of the asset, as well as looking into some of the advanced recovery processes, including water flooding
Yeah.
in that. And we optimized the entire system. And one of the biggest surprises that came is that the results indicated that the operator could go with a 10% lower capacity of
Yeah.
the FPSO than what was originally proposed and designed, without affecting the overall productivity from that reservoir. And cost of these FPSO vessels are determined by its capacity, the size, and different
Yeah.
types of processing you would need on these platforms.
Yeah.
And 10% reduction in the size actually is hundreds of or tens of millions of dollars
Yeah.
in terms of cost savings.
Yeah.
So that is capex saving right there,
Yeah.
which is an imminent result of this integrated workflow.
So especially within this environment, operators really have to think, not can I afford this software, can I afford not to implement it?
Exactly, because it's and that's why I say the analog is a few $100,000 of investment
Yeah.
has a potential saving of millions of dollars. Then
Yeah.
the rate of investment or the rate of return on your investment on the
Yeah.
software is pretty much peanuts when it
no-brainer.
compares to the returns you would get
Yeah.
from this investment.
So we've covered a lot of success that you've had, a lot of different applications of asset problems that it helps, but I want to advance this forward. This podcast talks a lot about marketing and storytelling. So we've just had a very technical discussion, which I've been trying to keep up with you on. How can you tell this story to executives, operators, engineers, to really sell the product to an audience?
Yeah, I mean, when we go and meet customers, there's different type of audience we are talking to,
Yeah.
and if we are talking to executives and leaders of the company, they are mostly interested in optimizing workflows, in
Yeah.
making quick decisions, right decisions, and increasing productivity, OPEX,
Yeah.
COPEX, all the economic parameters, right?
Yeah.
And engineers very quickly come to features.
Yeah.
Because that's their
Yeah.
day-to-day work is
Yeah.
what features are there and how I can use it
Yeah.
into my day-to-day work. And one of the stories that I tell to companies or people I meet is I was a production engineer
Yeah.
around 20 years ago almost,
Yeah.
and that's how I started my career
Yeah.
as a production engineer. And
Yeah.
I used to use one of the specialist tools in production engineering
Yeah.
to understand the fluid flow from the reservoir into the wellbore.
Yeah.
And when I came to wellhead, that's where my domain ended.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so facilities and wellhead.
Yeah.
And wellhead to bottom was not my domain, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges for a production engineer is what is the fluid that is coming in from the reservoir into the wellbore and into the facilities.
Yeah.
And I, being a production engineer, used to get some information over the fence from my reservoir engineers and used to use that data to make decisions on the production side of things.
Yeah.
And my counterparts in the RE teams used to do the same, as they
Yeah.
used to use a reservoir engineering tool, which is a specialist in its own domain,
Yeah.
and the right set of tools and workflows.
Yeah.
But they would assume certain things in the wellbore and facilities,
Yeah.
like a constant wellhead pressure or a lift curve inside
Yeah.
the well, and then they'll do the forecasting, right? So there is a
Yeah.
total disconnect
Yeah.
between the two disciplines.
Yeah.
And data is being passed. It's not that data is not being passed, but it is
Yeah.
passed in silos.
Yeah.
Is it optimal? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because things are very interconnected. If you look at a real asset, you have
Yeah.
reservoir, you have well, you have production
Yeah.
facilities.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. You
Yeah.
are operating it in a field in a connected way.
Yeah.
But are you designing and doing the workflows in the back office in a connected way? Which is not. And still 20 years now, and I see still the same situation
Yeah.
where it's not a single discipline. So imagine a workflow or a platform where multiple disciplines
Yeah.
are working on the same set of tools,
Yeah.
same set of data,
Yeah.
and seeing each other's work, right?
Yeah.
And from that, and the management is interested in, okay, how do I save my cost on the software?
Yeah.
How do I train every user or every engineer on the same platform?
Yeah.
So savings in terms of training, in terms of expertise,
Yeah.
in terms of people exposed to work from other departments so that they
Yeah.
can see and challenge each
Yeah.
other's models and output, so that it creates this whole cohesive, collaborative environment where everybody has a holistic view of the entire asset,
Yeah.
and they are aligned with the end objective of the company.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that opens up minds of people, is it's no longer a siloed work stream. It's
Yeah.
a collective work stream that is aligned with the company's objectives, whether it's maximizing recovery or maximizing profits or improving the ROI or net value, net present value. So everybody is working towards the same goal, rather than individual goals within the team.
Yeah.
And that opens up the eyes of the management as well.
Yeah.
And as long as you have the technical capabilities that satisfies the engineer's day-to-day requirement, then the engineers are interested in that as well.
And as you mentioned, engineers are very driven by features.
Yes.
How can engineers bridge that gap from features to benefits and storytelling to communicate that value effectively?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I notice in the industry is very difficult to zoom out from your day-to-day job. Is people have their workflows streamlined, whether it's using their own tools or custom developed workflows that they have created over the years, and people get used to it. And as soon as a problem comes to them, they start to understand the problem, but focus on how they can solve within their own domain, without much consideration of how other aspects of it will impact the overall deliverability of the project. So it needs to be as when we do a study, or when our customers do a study for a particular challenge that they are trying to solve in the field, it's important to get out of your domain and be visible and aware of what other disciplines are doing, because ultimately it's an interconnected system. So my recommendation is have an open view and collaborate with other disciplines as much as possible, because ultimately it's an asset team, not a reservoir or production or a completions team. It's a collective asset team.
And on a personal level, Anjani, you've worked in many different disciplines within CMG, and one of them for a period of time was marketing.
Yes.
So how do you think the marketing has changed within CMG and within the industry, and what does the future of marketing look like within your industry?
Well, I mean, we were, I mean, honestly speaking, CMG simulators were way ahead of the game, so we didn't require to do a lot of marketing in the past. And as he said, is we were the goal, and we are the gold standard in reservoir simulation. People came to us because of the technology, and we excelled at our technology, and we still do. Now things have changed on the marketing side a little bit, because there's a lot of noise in the industry in terms of people. I wouldn't say claiming, but there's a lot of technologies out there that appear very, very similar. And we have to go out there and distinguish where CMG stands out compared to the rest of the technologies that are available out there. And also to understand what problems our customers are trying to solve and guide them into a technology that is best suited for their needs. So it's an evolving space, from technical requirements to more on the value proposition point of view. As you said, is everybody is trying to do more with less, and then what are the technologies out there that will help our customers achieve those objectives? So CMG has evolved its marketing strategy to accommodate those evolving needs.
And as a leader, obviously all this hinges down to how you can build teams and empower people to execute on behalf of your company. What have you learned from your years of experience building high performance teams?
Yeah, I mean, we are really fortunate and proud to have an awesome team at CMG, and it's all about the people.
Yeah.
And if you see, I've been there for 20 years, and a lot of colleagues have been there for a long time. There is a reason, because of the people, the technology, and the work environment we create.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come just by hiring the experts or the technical experts.
No.
You have to hire the right set of people with the right mindset.
Values.
People need to be, and we really emphasize during our hiring practices, is that we identify the right people who have the curiosity in them. It's they're motivated to learn, and as I said, is continuous improvement is a big ask, and it requires effort from people. And we are trying to create an environment inside CMG where everybody is passionate about what they do. And there's a sense of I say there's a sense of belongingness to the company. CMG is my company, and I am CMG. So there is no difference between the two. And as long as people, from a leadership point of view, we encourage that sort of a culture, innovation and creativity thrives. And that's what CMG is all about, is creating those work environments and culture. As my CEO says, is 1% improvement every day makes you significantly better than 365 times at the end of the year, because it's a compounding effect. So
Absolutely.
as long as the leadership and the company provides that, people find it valuable to stay, and they give their best output to the company.
I think brand is just as much internal than external, and having that clear identity of what it means to be a part of this brand, and everyone's united on that mission, is so important. I think a couple final questions before we wrap up. What would your advice be to a younger energy professional on how to navigate and set themselves up for success in the industry right now? It's a bit challenging. People are tightening their belts. How can you stand out in the age of AI and succeed?
I mean, our industry is changing and transforming at the same time. I mean, there's a lot of technological advances, but engineering expertise will remain. So if somebody is in the engineering domain, I would recommend not to be scared and worried that AI will replace them, because it's not going to replace them. It's going to empower them. Is what I think is. But at the same time, you have to be open to evolve yourself as well. I mean, as young engineers, as I said, is continuous learning is the key. And how do you keep up to the changes in the technology and the work environment, whether it's AI? You don't need to be an AI expert to succeed. You need to understand how you can use and leverage AI to empower yourself in your day-to-day work, so that you can become more efficient, more productive, and more valuable to the company that you're working with. So I won't say that AI will replace the engineers.
No.
I will say the engineers who use AI and leverage new technology will replace the engineers who do not evolve and adopt to those new technologies.
Adapt or die.
Adopt or die.
That's it. And final question for you: what advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self? Oh God, that's a good question. I would say is continuous learning. As I said, is sometimes when things go on the right track, you become complacent, and the motivation to continuously learn and evolve dies. So from if somebody is in a situation like I was probably 15-20 years ago, I would say is be proactive in evolving your knowledge, not only in terms of your technical skill sets, but your business skill sets is very, very important.
Soft skills.
And soft skills, as well as zoom out from your day-to-day technical requirements. And that's what happened to me, actually, because when I was in the engineering role, I started as a customer success engineer, and I was developing expertise that is related to very, very technical core applications. But as went into the management, there was a flip. You have to suddenly zoom out quite a bit and understand the business aspect of things. The sooner you start realizing that, the more successful you will become. But at the same time, do not compromise on the technical knowledge and the know-how, but read as much, familiarize yourself with the business aspects in general, and continue learning.
So your software should be multidisciplinary, and also your skill set.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They go hand in hand. Yes.
Final, where can people find more about CoFlow, CMG, or connect with you, Anjani?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. The easiest way is to go to the CMGL website, www.cmgl.ca. And there's a lot of there's a dedicated page for CoFlow. There's a contact us there, so you can contact one of our specialists, salespeople, as well as our customer success people from the website, or send me an email, and I'll be open to it. Is anjani.kumar@cmgl.ca. And we'll be happy to answer any questions.
We'll put all the information in the show notes, and just thank you very much for this conversation. I've learned an incredible amount, and thank you for everything you guys are doing.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me, and it was a pleasure.
Cheers, Anjani.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, guys.